Okay, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. To have a really cool strap showcase for you guys from the brand StrapHabit. Originally founded back in 2019, they're actually based out of Ohio, and they fulfill their own orders themselves out of Ohio. They ship within 1 business day of your order being placed, and the name StrapHabit reflects that they understand how important it is for you to be able to customize your watch to get the perfect look and feel. They even go to the length of hand-picking and developing the straps that they offer. Now, in terms of this particular offering, guys, it's one that I'm really excited about. It's actually their Deployant FKM rubber quick release watch straps. Now, you guys know I've been really into some of the higher end closed loop styles like this that do have these Omega style Deployant buckles, but here you're actually going to get a crazy deal. These are $42, and they actually include the Deployant buckle, which is wild to me. You even can get a blacked out buckle option, as you guys can see at the bottom of the screen, with the white variation, but you can do that across. It's again, it's an option. I just paired it with the white here. So big shout out to StrapHabit for sending these in. Essentially, this Deployant design means that the tail end of the strap is captured and will not flop around. A polished buckle with twin triggers keeps your watch secure. So it's also still quick to take on and off, which is nice. And you also are getting, of course, quick release spring bars. You're getting 12 tightly spaced adjustment holes, which means these straps will fit on almost any wrist around 6 to 8.25 inches, and can be finely adjusted for that perfect fit thanks to the proximity of each hole. The underside of the strap actually features a recess to keep your wrist cool, and the size and a subtle StrapHabit logo are also molded into the FKM rubber, guys. And again, I'm a big fan of FKM. I like vulcanized rubber as well. Compared to vulcanized rubber, FKM does add increased durability as well as chemical and heat resistance. So it feels very, very premium, but it just doesn't cost that much, which I think is pretty wild. I like the taper on here, guys. They do have a very nice 4mm taper down to 16mm at the buckle. So quite a long intro, but I did want to get that all out of the way. I'm going to be featuring kind of my Dress KX, because this little Seiko 5 is honestly quite a little bang per buck monster as well, where it can really fulfill a higher end kind of feel for not a whole lot of money. And I think that's the same thing you're going to get with these FKM straps. So with that said, let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get these pieces in hand, and take a closer look. Okay, guys, another huge shout out to StrapHabit for sending these straps in so that I can share them with you all. Really genuinely excited about this one. So glad that they reached out, because these are really, really cool. Let's go ahead and see this bad boy mounted on this little versatile Seiko 5, quote unquote, Dress KX. Nice and versatile. And again, the reason why I chose to showcase it on this particular piece, let me give it a quick little dust off there, was that, I think this watch punches way above its weight class, right? It's fully in-house, has a very iconic and signature design aesthetic to the brand of Seiko, and it's just a looker, and it's super versatile. And here, looker, super versatile, and you're also getting quite a deal in terms of the pricing. Really straightforward design setup, guys. You have that kind of raised center section to almost mimic the look of a 3-link style of bracelet, so it's not overly plain. It does have a nice little termination there with a little bevel, as you guys can see. Really nicely done, where it's a little bit thicker here. It does have some natural curvature to it, and then also does naturally taper down to be a little bit thinner, as well as, whether it be the thickness or the width wise, it has a nice taper. So the pliability on this is going to be really, really nice. Now, in terms of mounting this, guys, one thing I do want to get a close up on is going to be this fully polished Deployant buckle here. If I can get, there we go. Check that out. So while yes, it is functionally very, very nice, this isn't super luxury level, but if you did want to swap out with another Omega style deployant buckle, you absolutely could. Hopefully they'll be offering a more premium offering in the future, because I think honestly the strap is so nice that you absolutely could charge more for this, and you know, maybe get some complex finishing here, maybe some brushing and some nice little transitions and whatnot. But I mean, for the average consumer at $42, I mean, this is absolutely outstanding. And with that fully polished setup, the nice thing is it's pretty much going to match with anything, right? So what you'll do is, in terms of mounting, you're going to take this, and here it all tucks in. For me, the sizing is comfortable at about the 4th hole, so I'll take that, get it around the 4th, and then just kind of shimmy it in so that it holds. And when I get it lined up, push through. Yep, that's the 4th hole. And then essentially I'm all set to go. And now the nice thing is I have this closed loop setup where everything is nice and tidy, very clean. There's no tail sticking out there. Let me give it another quick little wipe, because it does have a polished bezel on here, but you guys can see it flows really, really beautifully. Check that out. Of course, the watch does appear a little bit larger on wrist when I do have it a bit too close to the camera lens. So what I'll do is keep my wrist nice and low here, and then just tighten up the frame so you guys can get a more detailed look here, but just at a bit of a truer aspect ratio. Check that out. Ooh, very nice. And again, I love that the closeness of the holes here to really dial in that fit. If you want to make it a little tighter, a little looser, depending on your preferences. And you know, in terms of the way this sits on my 7.5-inch wrist, it sits beautifully. And if you have a smaller wrist, which most people do, you have tons of room here. It's probably going to even fit and sit a little bit nicer for you if you do have a smaller than 7.5-inch wrist, because here it sits about center. I would prefer for it to sit a little bit further up so that it essentially would have the folding portion a little bit more centered under the wrist. But you guys can see, since I do have a larger wrist, that's a little bit tougher to get there. Actually, let me just go ahead and roll this back out. So yeah, I'd like it to sit more like this, but it sits more like this just because of my wrist size. So if you do have a larger than 7.5-inch wrist, just know that it probably isn't going to sit super optimal for you. I think right here is right about the center line, which I think is a fair place for it to sit, but optimally it would sit higher up. So if you have maybe a 7-inch wrist, 6.5-inch wrist, this is going to fit you absolutely beautifully. And the nice thing is, if you do have a smaller wrist, you're probably used to all this tail hanging out, and now you're not going to have it. And I just think that that's awesome. So here we have the gray, which is very versatile, whether you're going to be pairing this with a blue dial or, you know, another gray dial, and trying to get everything to be a little bit more matchy and monochromatic, or just having a nice little bit of pop of color. You can see these are really, really well done. You know, they're not super complex, so I can't say that, hey, there's all this, you know, luxury level of finish or anything on there. But in terms of functionality, they're really well done. I think this blue is a great navy blue, great color there. I know it can be tough matching darker blues. So it's tough because you kind of got to commit to either having a little bit more of a, you know, true blue, or a little bit more of a kind of purple tone to it. I think this renders as a really, really nice blue. And again, polished Deployant buckle, and these are included, which is wild. So only $42, and you're getting this. In terms of the lengths and everything, guys, you're going to have one end. The long end is going to be 120 millimeters. The short end is going to be 80 millimeters. And yeah, this is going to fit, depending on the watch dimensions, of course, anything between 6 inches to 8.25 inches. If you have a bigger wrist or a bigger watch with longer lug to lug, then of course it's going to be able to fit on a longer, a wider wrist. If you have a really small and compact watch, it's going to be a little bit tighter. So, you know, things to consider. You do have, of course, a nicely done quick release spring bars. And the nice thing is they actually do offer you an option to actually get some bigger, fatter tipped Seiko diver style, those ISO nice spring bars if you guys want. Of course, they're not going to be built in, but you can option them out right in the store, which is, I think, a really nice option if you did want to put these, let's say, on one of your Pro Specs divers. They are offered in a wide array of colors as well as widths. So you're talking 19, 20, 21, and 22. And in terms of the buckle, it's going to have two different options, essentially, two different size options, 16 or 18 millimeters, 18 millimeters for the larger widths, and then 16 millimeters for the smaller. This is going to be the 16 millimeter, and this is actually the black one. So I paired this together because, that Snoopy Moonwatch, the mission to moon phase, the Swatch collab. I think this would be an absolutely beautiful pairing, and of course with that black tone, I think it works really, really well. So I dig that, and I think that could just be really, really cool in terms of pairing. You get the kind of stormtrooper look, and you guys can see the white is very, very clean. And again, you do have everything just really clean, clear, and I think very, very functional. The orange is going to really work in terms of, I think dive watches, adventure watches. If it has an orange accent on the dial, that's going to play beautifully. Of course, I think these two are going to pair really well with blue dials, depending on how much you want to match or contrast. And then the white, it's going to be a beautiful kind of summer pop of, I wouldn't say pop of color, but pop of brightness, freshness there. And then, of course, you have the ultimately versatile black, which I think is awesome. And you can see comes right on and off. Very, very easy, very simple. And I think this looks really, really good. The thickness even tapers from about 4 millimeters down to 2. So that means this underside is going to be more pliable, which is great in terms of wearability and comfort. So you're going to have a little bit more thickness here to have some structure to kind of keep your watch nice and centered on wrist. Well, you're going to be more pliable here, especially where it's going to double up, right? You're going to get 2 layers of that FKM rubber, plus you're going to get the milled swing arm section of the Deployant clasp. So it is nice to have that thinner, while it doesn't feel flimsy at all, right? Some more supple high-end straps can feel a little bit flimsy, so it is nice to kind of have that I think well thought out balance there, especially when you're considering that you're going to have the milled swing arm also there taking up space. But this looks great, guys, and of course it doesn't have to be used on this case. This is just a versatile watch that I thought would be a really good example, but I'm sure you guys will have tons of different ones, and there's so many watches that are out there that are great that just don't have great bracelet options. So it's nice to give you something that gives you that braceleted effect and wear profile, but just with that extra comfort layer, right? You're not worried about half links, you're not worried about micro adjust or anything like that. You're just getting something that is going to ultimately work and be very, very function forward. Also, if you have that nice adventure watch, right? If you're going to be putting this on some type of explorer type of watch, the nice thing is now you're not going to be scratching up that bracelet. You can bang this around and wash it off, and it's not going to be a big deal. So I'm really digging these guys. Closing thoughts: fun color options that add both wearability through added comfort as well as a premium feel via that clean, versatile design. And I think a super affordable price point, guys. Under $50, $42, especially considering that the Deployant buckles are included. Again, I do think it would be nice because of just how nice the FKM rubber is and how the execution in terms of the way that they inject like the molding and how clean everything is. I do think they could offer a higher end option, maybe add some different types of patterns on here, ventilations, and then do something with a multiple tone, maybe have this brushed and then have this polished or whatever you want. I do think it would be nice to if they had like a $60 option that just had a nicer buckle or something like that. I think that'd be cool, just because I do think that these straps will look great on more expensive timepieces. So I wouldn't want you to be let down by kind of a more pedestrian buckle on there if you're pairing it with like a really nice brigade day or something, right? Like if you're going to put it on a nice expensive watch, it would be nice to have just a little bit more expensive Deployant buckle. I think the strap itself is going to hold up and be very, very comparable to some of the a lot more expensive strap options that are out there, just because it's that well executed. It's clean. It doesn't. I don't see any faults in it. Right? There's no like obvious mold lines or anything like that. That would make you think that this is going to be some type of budgeted setup. Like this looks more like a premium setup than a budget one, and it just happens to be priced closer to a budget one. So I think that's awesome. And then also, guys, definitely check the link in the description so you can get 15% off of their entire store. And I don't get any commissions or anything like that. Yeah, I just figured, hey, if I can help you guys save a little money, especially when it comes to your strap habits, right? We all have little addictions here and there. So yeah, I think these are cool. And I would love to see, these on more combinations. So let me know down in the comments below if there's anything that you're excited to pair these straps with, and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks, guys.